Love this. We're going to figure things out, is what we're going to do. I want to talk about how to get your foreman started as a new leader in your company. And listen, this is one of my first times going live. I've tried it a couple different times. If this doesn't show up on screen, because I've got a presentation here, it's all nicely done. But if it doesn't show up and you want to get it, send me a text. My cell phone is 315-903-7853. And just say presentation or foreman presentation, and then I'll know to send this to you. If you don't see the presentation, don't worry. I'm gonna talk to you and walk you through it. What we're gonna talk about today is how to get your foreman started as a new leader. I'm not sure if you know this, and I'm speaking directly to the owners of construction or contracting businesses. Most supervisors, leaders, crew leads, foremen never get trained. They never get trained. What we do is we take somebody who's really good, somebody who's a good worker, who's technically skilled, and we say, hey, you know what? George is really good at his job. Why don't we make him the foreman? And I've seen this happen a lot with cabinet shops. Somebody will say, well, Cindy's really good as a painter. Maybe we'll make her the painting lead. And that's fine because they're great technically, but nobody's ever trained them to be a leader. What we're doing is creating a recipe for disaster for ourselves as the owner, because we're trying to build some systems into our company, those systems being people, that'll help us take a step back so we can spend time with our family, or so that you can go do more estimates, work with better customers, bring in more jobs. But if we are not supporting the foreman, then all of it's falling back to us anyway. So you're just going to keep getting in a cycle. It's like you're stuck in the dryer and it's just spinning around and around. So let's hit this. How do you get your foreman started as a new leader? Now, I know some places call it a foreman, some people call it a supervisor, some people call it a crew lead. Whoever you've got in charge of fabrication, production, manufacturing, installation, whatever you do in contracting, whoever that leader is, that's who we're talking about here as the foreman. Here's the agenda we're going to cover off today. It's just 5 points that I want you to keep in mind. And again, if you want to share this with your foreman, shoot me a text, get this from me. I'll say the cell phone number again at the end, but get this from me, and then you'll be able to walk them through it. And by all means, use it. Show your foreman this and put out the plan. Here's the agenda, 5 points. The first one, step one, is this: watch and observe, do nothing for 2 weeks. Okay. Step number 2, talk to everybody one-on-one and let them know step 1. Okay. The third thing I want you to do is get clear on expectations with everyone. So I'm talking to the foreman here. The foreman has to get clear on expectations with everybody. Number 4, talk about how you like to get things done. How do you like to get things done? So just you're having a regular conversation with people. It's nothing. The worst thing you could do as a new leader is come out hard and charging. That's why step number 1 is watch and observe. And then number 5, what's one thing you think can be done? That's just it's called a soft opening. It's a soft opener. Just having a conversation with the people on the crew. And I'll get into that a little bit more, because one of the things you don't want to do is make promises. People will try to get promises made out of you that they're going to hold you to later. Oh yeah. When you move into leadership, it's a whole new world. So let's get into that a little bit here. So the first thing is watch and observe. So as soon as you get this new position, and I'm speaking to the foreman now on your behalf, right? So assume your foreman is watching this video or you're sharing this PowerPoint with them. As soon as you become the foreman, as soon as we announce it, I actually don't want you to do anything. We're going to announce you as the foreman, but I just want you to listen and watch for a week or 2 weeks. Now, listen, that's going to be painful. It's going to be painful because the foreman probably already has a bunch of ideas in his or her mind about what they want to change, what they want to do differently. You and I, as the owner of this contracting business, we have ideas. But what's really important right now is that the new foreman chills the fudgicle out. Don't do anything. Just watch and observe. This is the time to be wise, not to be a cowboy, right? I want you to watch and observe, do that for 2 weeks. The third thing, I already mentioned this earlier, but the third thing is make no promises. People will be coming up to you and saying, hey, you're the foreman now. Can we get better coffee in that machine? And you want to say yes. You think it's doable. The boss, the owner, we might have already said we're going to do that. Hold off on making any promises, because those promises, no matter what they are, no matter how small they are, they will come back to bite you. And they've come back to bite me in the past. Years, I mean, we're talking years ago, like 100 pounds ago, I was a lifeguard. And then at some point, I became the head lifeguard of a pool that I was working at. And I wanted to make some changes, sweeping changes. We're going to change this, and we're going to change how we do that. And I did that wrong, first of all, and I did it right away. So that's wrong. We know rule number 1 is listen and watch. Rule number 2 is watch and observe for 2 weeks, don't do anything. And I blew both of those. And then people started asking me for things. Hey, you think we can get this? Hey, the first aid kits need a little bit of an upgrade. They have never been able to do it. Can you do that? And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure we can get it done. So I made a bunch of promises. I got to tell you, I did everything wrong you could humanly do wrong as a new head lifeguard. I mean, I knew how to swim, so that was consistent, but everything else, I blew everything else. And I know we're talking about swimming and lifeguarding versus running a contracting business, but it's the same thing. Everybody listening who's moved into a leadership position, you'll recognize this happens. People start asking you for stuff, and they know what they're doing. They know they're going to ask you for something they've already been told no about many times, but they're going to put it on you, and they're going to test you. They're going to test you to see what happens. So I want you to make no promises in the beginning. None at all. Okay. And then the fourth thing under watch and observe is I want you to look for trends. Watch for things that are happening consistently. Look for gaps. Look for opportunities, and then just take notes. Quietly take notes. Don't make a big deal out of anything. Just super casual. Take notes. The key to leadership is not running around screaming, you're the leader. It's not wearing a different colored t-shirt. The key to leadership is being a great facilitator and listening to others, right? So just look for trends, gaps, and opportunities. I'm going to stop for a second, and I'm going to repeat all of these 4 items under step number 1, just so that you have it locked in your mind, okay? So when we're bringing on a new foreman, we want to encourage that person to, number 1, watch and observe. What does that mean? First, just listen and watch everything that's going on. I want you to do nothing for 2 weeks, which is going to feel painful. I get it. The third thing is make no promises whatsoever. And then the fourth thing is start to look for trends, gaps, and opportunities, and just take notes quietly on the side. Make sure that that notebook stays with you. There's a great quote from Stephen Covey. And if you have just moved into leadership because myself or the owner of your contracting business has promoted you, welcome to leadership training. That's all this is. You're now learning to be a leader of people. There's a great saying here by Stephen Covey, who is one of the greatest management gurus ever. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Nice and simple, right? Makes sense. You're probably nodding. Yep, that looks good. I can do that. Welcome to the crew. Welcome to the crew. But let's keep going. It is exciting moving into leadership. Okay, the second point is this. Talk to everybody one-on-one and let them know about the first step. So let's say you've got a crew. Let's say that you work inside, sheet metal shop or maybe kitchen cabinets. You make kitchen cabinets, right? You've been announced as the foreman. Everybody knows that. They slap you on the back. They congratulate you. They make a couple of jokes. Everybody gets back to work, right? So now you do step number 1, watch and observe, all that stuff. But now, late on day 1 or sometime on day 2, start to have short conversations with people in the shop. Now, I said cabinet shop or sheet metal shop, but it could be the same for any. It doesn't matter what contracting trade you're in. Start to have very short conversations with people. Short. And just walk up to one of the guys and say, hey, John asked me to take on this foreman role. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to working together. I'm going to take a week or 2 to observe before anything changes. Why would we say that? Because people hate change. Now, they're going to be screaming for some changes, but other change, they're going to be pretty resistant of. So if you're pretty cool about this, like, yeah, John asked me to take on this new role. I'm pretty excited. I'm new to it, but let's see what I can do. I'm looking forward to working together, but I'm going to take a week or 2 to observe things. Just want to watch before anything changes. And then just listen. And they're going to say stuff to you. They're going to tell you things. They're going to give you insights you maybe didn't hear before. Okay. So just be really open and listen. Again, make no promises, but just observe and take a step back. Now's the time for wisdom. Now's the time for that quiet leadership. You might be an excitable person. You might be kind of a quieter person. You might be outgoing. You might be a more demanding person. You might already be coaching kids baseball and you think you're a great leader. I don't know. But now is not the time to go around acting like you're the instant leader. Now is the time to understand I'm a servant leader. There's a great quote that I put here on the presentation. And again, if you want this presentation, I'm sorry, it's one of my first times going live on YouTube. If you want the presentation, shoot me a text. My cell phone is 315-903-7853. And just say foreman presentation, then I know which one to shoot you back. Here's the quote by Jack Welch. Jack Welch is just a monster of industry, right? He's written a bunch of books, turned around lots of companies. Here's his quote. Before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. When you become a leader, success is all about growing others. What does that tell us? This is Jack Welch, one of the most powerful CEOs in the world, a turnaround guy. And he's telling us here, what I read in this is take your ego and put it on the back shelf. Being a leader doesn't mean standing out front waving the flag. It means standing at the back and waving the flag, supporting your people, building an environment, building a team for them to succeed on. We're going to get to that in a couple of seconds with some other updates. But it's important that you don't act too quickly. It's important that you just chill the fudgicle out, watch and observe, make no promises, and then go around and talk to everybody. It doesn't have to be a long conversation. Don't get drawn into long discussions, just really short conversations, right? If you're running a crew that frames homes, it's not going to take very long. You have lunch with these guys every day. If you're running a shop, a cabinetry shop, it's not going to take very long. You have lunch with these guys every day, right? Keeping in mind, you're now in a different role. There are some conversations you're not going to be part of anymore. You might not get invited to the football pool anymore because now I don't know how it works in your company, but things will change a little bit. Be aware of that. Just be cool about it. Be cool about it. So start this late on day one or on day two. Have very short convos. Again, just say, hey, John has asked me to take on this foreman role. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to working together. I'm going to take about a week or two to observe before anything changes. Okay, so that's step two. Step one was just watch and listen. Step two is talk to everybody one-on-one and let them know about the first step. Pretty simple so far. Hopefully this makes sense. If it doesn't, get in touch with me or just rewatch this video or get the PowerPoint. All right, get clear on expectations with everybody. Now, this one's really important. So this is point number 3. Get clear on expectations with everybody. If you could see the screen, you would see that I reminded all of us that when I say get clear with everybody, get clear with the boss or the owner or the site super, get clear with the crew, get clear with other people, like in the office, of customers, suppliers. That's why I want you to chill out for a week or two and just observe from a leadership position what's going on, because you're going to start to see things differently. You're going to have to start to see how all the pieces come together. That's real important because those are your assets. Those are the people on your new team, and you've got to figure out how all those work together to get the project done. Again, on the presentation, the first thing I say is set the scene or paint a picture, might be an easier way to say it, right? With your team, let's say you're having a morning kickoff meeting. One of the things that I would like to say is, hey, listen, folks, we promised the customer this job would get done today. Let's walk through the plan. Now, cool your jets. Some of you are saying, well, I can't get a job done in a day. Or you sound exactly like my boss and he always gives us too much work to get done in a day. Cool your jets. Change the language to how you need to get things done. But we all have a schedule to work towards. We've made promises to the customer. We've made promises to the client. We've made promises to suppliers. We've made promises to lots of people. Remember, when the owner of your company signs a new contract to remodel a home, to build a home, to put on a new roof, he or she puts their name behind that. Our job on the crew is to make sure that we hit those dates as best we can. Everything has to be safe. And we have to make sure that the owner is giving us reasonable expectations. Oh, that goes right back to get clear on expectations with everyone. Has the owner of the company been clear with you on your expectations as the foreman? If not, grab a coffee with them and get clear on those expectations. If the owner of your company isn't clear on that and isn't sure how to give you that guidance or direction, send them back to me. I'm happy to help. There's lots of resources here. On the Profit Tool Belt podcast, we only interview the owners of other contracting businesses, other experts in our field, and areas like people and recruiting or pricing, profitability, other systems, software. It's really the business of the contracting business, right? So refer the owner back to me if you happen to be watching this on your own. If you're an owner, make sure that you're clear on what the foreman needs to do. Be very clear on the expectations. The reason is we need that foreman. I'm flipping back and forth here, right? We need the foreman to be very clear on what they're doing so they can succeed. When they succeed, you have time to go do other things. It's not, I'm not going to say it's magic. It's going to take some work. But once you get that foreman up and running, you can step back. You don't have to be in the shop every day, or you don't have to be on the job site every day, right? Or the warehouse, wherever you happen to be operating. So set the scene, paint a picture, let everybody know as soon as possible what the big picture is, right? Like maybe, I had said, we promised the customer this job would get done today. Maybe that doesn't work for your industry, right? Hey guys, today I really want to get the west wall built, or the west wall fixed, or the west wall painted, or the west wall up, whatever it is. But give everybody a reasonable expectation, and then just let's walk us through the plan. Then give them the plan. If they have the plan, they can comment back. They can say, you know what, Dom, I don't think we can get that all done in a day. Now I have a chance to go back to them and answer it, right? And you've been working in that company, or you've been a leader in this trade before, and say, well, I think we can get pretty close. Do you think we could make it work? And then break it down into smaller bits, help them get through it. That's your job as a leader. Help them get through any challenges that they encounter, right? Making sure that we got safety, making sure that we've got quality, making sure that we're working at pace. Not fast, at pace. Just working at the right pace to get everything done. You never have to run. Never have to run, right? And then again, who needs to do what by when is really important. So getting back to getting clear on expectations with everybody. If you're a foreman, write this down. Here are the people you have to get clear expectations from. The foreman, that's you. You have to be clear on your own expectations. The owner or the boss or the super has to give you clear expectations. The crew, you have to get clear expectations of who needs to do what by when. So you're giving expectations now. And then other people, such as people in the office, maybe the estimator, draftsman, whoever, customers, suppliers. But think about all those people, because now you're a different part of the system. You're a different contributor to the team. Okay. So that last step there was get clear on expectations with everybody. Remember, at this point, we're in week 1 or week 2, and we're just chilling out. We're just observing. We're learning. We're watching things with a new eye. We're trying to figure out where we can have the biggest impact. And it might be something small, but it's going to be something significant. And then the next part is have a conversation with people, how I like to get things done. So just say it in one short sentence. Say it enough and don't oversay it. That's it. So here's an example that I would use. Let's say I'm talking to you and your name is Jeremy. Hey, Jeremy, I like to give everybody their goal for the day, let you get to it, and check in on you every once in a while. How does that sound? And Jeremy's going to say, yeah, whatever. And then he's just going to get back to work. That's it. But now you've asked and you've let him know you're going to come back and check in every once in a while. And it could be something simple. Maybe we need to get them back on time tracking. So when you come back later, you're just going to remind Jeremy, hey, did you punch this job code in so that we're tracking the time properly? Or, something technical. But you can't just leave the guys to it all day. You've got to check on them, make sure they've got what they need. I've done this myself, and you've probably done it as well. You go and finish a job, and then you see somebody else doing the same job, and you realize they were doing a shortcut that was smart. And I always think, how come I didn't do that? I wasted all that time. I could have done this better or smarter or faster, or say, whatever it is. When you come in as a foreman, one of the biggest values that you provide is fresh eyes. It's new perspective, right? A new perspective. Let me bring that mic a little bit closer, see if that helps. It's a new perspective. So you're going to visit them a couple times during the day. And then finally, listen and facilitate. Listen and facilitate. This is the next stage of being a foreman, a super, a crew leader. Listen and facilitate. Use less emotion and more of being calm. Less emotion, more of being calm. Think more like a King Solomon. Imagine the stress that King Solomon had when the two women come to him with a baby and said, the baby's mine. The other lady said, the baby's mine. And King Solomon said, you know what? Let's cut the baby in half. And so both of you can have half the baby. You guys ever hear this story from the Bible? And one woman said, no, please don't kill the baby. That was the real mother. But King Solomon had to have a lot of wisdom to come up with that example. Just less emotion, more calm, more calm. Listen. You, as the foreman, have to listen. You have to listen to the owner or the supervisor, maybe your boss, but you also have to listen to the crew. One of the most interesting parts of being a foreman is that you're always walking this fine line. You live in both worlds. You live in the world of the owner and you live in the world of the crew, right? You have to rally on behalf of the crew with the owner, right? Maybe you do go to the owner and say, look, dude, the coffee we appreciate the coffee, don't get me wrong, but it's so bad. And the owner says, I know, I get it at one of those discount places. It's always on sale. So I just get the cheap stuff. Okay. Could we find a way to get a little bit better coffee that's not stale? Whatever the situation is, right? So sometimes as the foreman, you've got to rally on behalf of the crew to the owner. You might have to go back to the owner and say, look, you for some reason, we keep getting job time estimates saying that we can complete this piece of work in 6 hours. But every time we get that piece of work, even though I watch the guys and they're doing their best, it's taken us about 7.5. I think we have an estimating problem. How do we figure this out? Come to them with data and facts based on observations that you've made, right? Now, the second thing that's interesting about the foreman world is that sometimes you have to go to bat for the owner with the crew, right? So sometimes you have to go to the crew and say, look, guys, we really need to track time. And everybody's going to come back and go, oh, what do we need to track time for? I don't want to track time. It takes me longer to walk over to the thing and punch it in. Or you said we're not allowed to have cell phones on the job site. Now you want me to stop, take my cell phone out and punch it in? Yes, that's exactly what I want you to do. And I know you guys are going to say, but I don't have the time. Let me tell you why it's important for us to track time. Actually, before I answer it, does anybody else here know why tracking time is important? Let the guys talk. One of them's going to say, no, so you can estimate better. Yeah, man, so we can estimate better. This has nothing to do with watching over you and making you work faster. Nobody needs to work faster. We're trying to work smarter. Time tracking is important because then we can estimate better. When we estimate better, we win more jobs. When we win more jobs, nobody gets laid off. When nobody gets laid off, mama is happy. Hands up, boys. And everybody's like, yeah, mama's happy at home. Okay, good. So all we have to do is track time. But go to bat for the owner with the crew. And sometimes you got to go to bat for the crew with the owner. So I want you to listen and facilitate. And finally, and this is a message from me to the owners of the contracting businesses, directly from me to the owners of the contracting businesses. Now, if you're listening and you're a foreman, feel free to turn around to your owner and smile right now. Let the foreman do their job. Leave him or her alone. You put them in charge, just let them lead. You put them in charge, let them lead. Talk to the crew through them. So if I'm your foreman and I've got a crew of, let's say, 5 people that report to me, it doesn't help anything if you go and talk to one of my crew. Actually, all you're doing is undercutting me. You're undermining my authority and you're making me useless. You're making yourself more important. You need to put yourself second, put the foreman first, and the foreman puts the crew first. Okay. I know this is really important, folks. I see this happen with businesses obviously, I'm a business coach for construction and contracting. Obviously, I've had many of my own businesses as well. And I see this happening time and again because somebody feels they have more technical expertise or somebody feels they're going to save time. I'm not going to go bug the foreman. I'm just going to go talk to Jimmy on my own. As soon as I go talk to Jimmy, the foreman's cut out of the whole thing. Now, when Jimmy has another question, guess what he's going to do? He's going to march right back up to my office. And the foreman's standing there going, what? Jimmy goes, well, I got to go talk to the boss. He came to me. You just created chaos, Mr. Boss Man, Mr. Boss Lady. So you don't need to create the chaos. You talk to your crew through the foreman. Let the foreman do the talking on your behalf. If that doesn't go as well as you like, then have a side conversation privately with the foreman and talk about how that can go better in the future. But it's a learning process for you, for us as owners, but also for them. So I'm sure some of you are loving hearing this. Let the foreman do their job. Just let them do it and don't undermine them. It is actually something that happens a lot in companies, especially family businesses. But it's something that's easily changed. Easily changed. Here's one of the things that I like to train my leaders in my company. This is such a simple little thing, but it really helps. Let's say that you come to me and you've got a question about payroll. And the person in our company that handles payroll is Linda. I'm just making that up, but let's say that's the situation. And you come to me and you say, Dom, I got a payroll question about the hours and the benefits and the statutory time, whatever it is, right? I can answer the question. I actually know the answer to the question. I know the answer. I approve payroll. I always look at payroll. I've been doing payroll for 17 years. I get it. I know the answer. But the worst thing I can do is answer that question. So here is the script that I want you, the owner, to use in that situation. Here's the script. Are you ready? That sounds like a Linda question. And then just be quiet. Ask that person then to go to Linda. Because I can answer it, but as soon as I do, Linda's out of the loop and I'm back into the loop. And for too many owners, their time gets wasted at the edges of their responsibility, not at the core of their responsibility. You're doing stuff for other people. Stop it. Hire good people. Let them do their job. If they're not doing their job, help them do their job. Let's just say. But that's, to be an owner, you got to be very focused on your time. Manage your priorities, manage your time. Anyways, guys, we're at the end of it. I really hope that you appreciated this. If you want to see this as a PowerPoint, and again, I apologize. It's my first time doing YouTube. I'll go back and look. I probably didn't even have the audio on. We'll find out in about 3 minutes. But if you do want the PowerPoint, shoot me a text. My cell phone number is 315-903-7853. And then the keyword I think we should use here is foreman presentation. Just text me that, and then I'll make sure to send this off to you. Thanks for checking in. This is it's my second YouTube live ever. Let's see how I did. You know what I needed? I needed one of my 13-year-old nieces or nephews here to help me through this. I probably would have done it right. Anyways, thanks for checking in, folks. We'll see you again.